Hello everyone, this is Scott, and welcome back to D.R.O.N.E. And today I want to talk a little bit about drone parameters and how I think how building will affect the different parts. And this is live gameplay, so I'll do my best to do what I can in terms of actually shooting stuff up. So sometimes that will keep my focus from talking a little bit because I want to actually shoot stuff up as well. So drones have a whole bunch of parameters, of course. And it is key that you balance those out so that you have a well-performing drone for all different scenarios. And let's just talk a little bit about, of course, drone parameters that are maybe not obvious at first. So in terms of boost, we have a nitro tank, and I'm pretty sure that is determined by your fuel capacity if you look in the drone editor. I will hop in the drone editor to talk about this all later. They also have batteries that I'm actually not sure what they do. It might actually be that this is battery instead of fuel for the boost. I have actually no clue. But of course the batteries are gonna have to do something. Then of course there's the hull integrity. That's, for my case, getting kind of low, so I'm probably gonna die in a second here. So I might as well just do a little bit of damage as I can before dying. Oh, there was a medkit there that might have saved me a little bit. So there's that. We have heat from the guns. And there's also passive heat from environmental stuff as well that you should keep in mind, because hotter climates, of course, heat up your drone more than colder environments. So your guns will overheat much faster that way. Number 6 with extra dip. Still love these drone names. Of course, we have the weapons, we have missile, and we have inventory. There's also shields in the build mode that I'll again show after this one match. And that's something that isn't really shown in here yet. So I don't think they actually have any shields yet at all. And as you can see as well, the guns have individual heat, so I don't think that the gun heat is actually controlled by your overall heat of your drone, because then they would both have independent, like shared, like not independent heal rates. Oh, I got zapped by an dangerous AI. Oh no. Oh, there's two mines right next to each other here. One allied, one enemy. It's nice. That might actually be what happened. I might have hit a mine. Oh, that's an ally. That is not an ally. And I managed to shoot down his missile right in front of him. Which is something we're gonna go into in a second. I'm gonna talk about some of the best weapons maybe to use as well. For how things are looking now, because of course the update for the new drone builder is coming soon, so we will be able to talk about what is going to be meta for your own drones soon, hopefully. And of course it's not going all too well here. Although what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go just exit the match, because that doesn't really matter to me, and we're just going to go into a drone editor. So we're not getting too distracted. So, of course, the first thing in the drone editor is that you have this plane that you can move up and down with your mouse scroll wheel, and that's where you place blocks up. That's the planar build mode. You also have the direct build mode. So the first thing I suggest doing is putting this one up like 6 blocks, 7 blocks, maybe even 10 blocks. As far as I know, there's not really too much of an altitude limit, but there is a floor. So if you're building, for example, right here, you can't move anything under the vehicle, under the drone. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 blocks up. I'm gonna just start with a tiny little 3x3 area. And I'm gonna put some blocks in front of it, just for good measure. Then I'm gonna switch over to the block mode, which you can also do by pressing 2. And then, of course, you will be able to build blocks directly, but you cannot build anywhere that you don't already have stuff on. So that's why you have to start with the planar mode. And let's first go into the utility part right here. And the first is the systems. And what I think is that the system, it says available points right here. I think that the system determines how many functional parts are going to be allowed on your drone. So if you want to have a bigger drone, you need more than one system, basically, like that. By the way, it's Alt to delete parts, by the way. And you can only delete functional parts when you're in anything other than the blocks category. And in your blocks area, you can only delete normal blocks. So that's what I mean, this is all, again, speculation here. This is what I think the different parts will do. And of course, there's a smaller one, and this one has available point 0, it says here, but it's also because stats are, of course, not all done. Like, this one has a lot of very low or non-existent stats compared to the main, the 700. So there's that. Of course, this 700 is 3x3, and the 600 is 2x2 with the little corners. I don't know if those corners gonna actually have their own hitbox basically, or whether it's gonna be considered a big ass square. That's something we're gonna figure out later down the line. For the next part, I'm gonna have to place a block right here, a bunch of them actually, so I can show you guys the cameras. So the cameras, of course, are gonna give you the visual. We have the big one. It's actually huge. It's 4x2. And you have these small 2x1s, and we have this huge ass cockpit. But generally, I think most of the players will stick with this one. And if these get damaged, specifically, you saw sometimes you see the camera getting all scrambled. I think that is because the camera gets hit and taken out. And yeah, that's why you want to kind of do some part of armor on it, but not too much, because that will block your field of vision. Next up, we have stabilizers. We have 1x1 and 2x1 variants here, and they reduce your inertia physics. What are simple parts? I don't think those are going to be necessary on all builds, especially if you're used to controlling how a drone flies. You probably don't even need these, because they just remove inertia physics. Maybe you want to like throw in one of them somewhere on the back of the vehicle, and that's it. Next up is radar. Radar is going to be really important to make sure you always be able to tell where your allies are. And this one is ability to share radar intel with teammates. And it has an efficient rate of 88 units between teammates. So this one only tells about teammates. And well, this one, these other ones are all active searchers, so they can detect enemies on their own, but I don't share it with teammates. So if you want to go like for a bit of a support role, you would be able to put in one of these antennas, in addition to one of the bigger radars. Like this one is heat shield even the minimal motion, and this one is more durable. It says, yeah, the 45 durability, 35. I assume if these are taken, like if they are their durability is depleted, then they will just stop functioning. That's what I'm assuming here, for the record. Now we have inventory. We have a few types, and these are for carrying the mines, etc., that you can pick up around the map. And that said, mines are very, very niche parts to use, so I don't think you would actually want to have these on the build at all, because like unless there's other pickups that are better, I will get into the rockets in a second. I don't think you're gonna need these at all. Then we have temperature coolers. I think these are to keep the entire drone cooled, because you can see how, let's say, go back to the inventory part here, and see max heat 160. I am fairly certain while the guns have their own independent heat rating, they do heat up the drone, and they also, overall, the terrain heats up the drone if you're playing in a desert map. So you're gonna need these coolers to actually keep the guns cool, like have them cool down faster. And if the temperature drops too high, goes too high on certain parts, they will stop functioning. That's what I'm again assume what will happen. And of course, we have the horn. for sound effects, but I don't think anyone will throw these on an actual serious build. After that, we have generators. Again, I'm not actually sure how these will work, unless these and the batteries are for the boosters, because then having a better a generator would allow you to recharge your boost more often, and having more batteries would allow you to boost for longer durations. And then you have the fuel tanks. Again, I'm actually not sure how these work. I actually have no idea how those would work. Also note here in the bottom right, it says the cost of the drone, by the way. I think that is something to do with matchmaking, basically. With bigger drones costing more to spawn in, or getting matched up against stronger targets, that your entire like loadout of 4 drones that you can bring into actually no, 3 drones that you can bring into a battle, the total number will determine your matchmaking rating. And then, of course, we have all the moving parts. We have the hovers, which are quite possibly one of the best movement options because they're really agile and they can be really compact. Like, you can take the big ones, but you can also take these really, really tiny ones and make an absolutely tiny miniature drone. You have wings, higher top speed, but less agile. Then we have the hovers, which don't allow you to fly around, but I'm pretty sure they're like more health, like 450 here. Yeah, they actually have like factor 10 as much health compared to these, although these are much smaller than these are, so do keep that in mind that these are gonna draw quite a bit of fire. And because once you place these, you cannot put anything on top of these, like there's not connection points on the outer side of these hovers, you're gonna have a bit of a hard time. Like, let me just put these on right here so I can show you. Like, there's no connection point here on the outside, like you can't put anything on here, so you're gonna be very limited in terms of build space with parts these large. And then lastly, we currently have the wheels, which are also pretty massive, but they should be pretty fast. And they don't have too much durability, so you're gonna need a bunch of them, but at that point, why not have a pretty large hover build? Like, what I would do probably is like having, let me just quickly make an example here. Like a little bit of an arch way like this. I mean, I would have to actually test how large it can be. And let's put this one further down. So what I'll probably end up doing with a hover drone is have 2 of them right here, and then 2 of them on the inside, or even just here. That's also an option. As you can see, is actually I made it way too wide. And in this case, you would also be able to move one further forward. So you would have like kind of an arrowhead shape. That's definitely an option with these kind of drones to go for something like that. To actually make sure that if you do lose one of those moving components, because again, I assume as soon as you hit 0 durability, then you are gonna lose the functionality of the component, because I haven't seen actually like parts falling off a drone. And lastly, of course, we have the boosters. They're gonna increase your speed by consuming either fuel or battery. I don't know which one it would actually use. So let's talk a little bit about the other stats that I can see in here. So max heat is, I assume, what the maximum of heat the drone can be at before it stops functioning. Radar footprint means how easy it would be for radar systems to detect this. Um, then the max units is the amount of. I mean, again, it's still assuming stuff here. Is the maximum amount of parts of these you control on. For example, this one is maximum 2, so you're going to control 2 of them on a single build. 3 of these, 2 of those. I don't know why you would want more than one radar, but okay. And of course you have the weight, which is how much the propulsion is gonna need to lift it up. Durability is the inevitable health of the component. And INRG use, I have actually no idea what that would be. It does say over here, it says 100 points. That's the points that the systems seem to like use. So is this one available points 1000? And then, for example, again, the propulsion, this costs 50 points to put on. These cost 60 points, so you would have 240 points of hovers and 290 with the booster included. And then if I have the camera, 25, I'll just neglect that. And then the machine guns will be like 160 each, ish. So like 320. Let's make it 350 around in total for that. 360, 600. This goes towards 700 points basically. So like this is almost a limit at what you control, and you can throw on some basic other stuff, and that's what you would be able to do with this one singular core, and that's when you hit the highest limit. Of course, this is a very bad drone. Don't build something like this. Then let's actually go into the weapons for a second. So for that, I'm gonna make this an actual test platform real quick. And widen it a little bit as well, so I can actually throw on those different weapons. So first up, we have the machine gun. Very high velocity. Very high rate of fire. Very easy to hit. And I definitely think like if you would like put 3 of them around your camera, like something like this, one in the bottom, 2 on the top, you're definitely gonna be able to do a very good amount of damage just with those weapons alone, and then probably take a few backup weapons. You do also have the turret. I'm not sure how turret controls would work. Maybe if it's like if you're a very slow turning craft, and you would be able to aim before the drone would have turned entirely. Here you can also see some other stats with guns. You can see this one turns out 40 heat when used. So you would have to need a cooling system that is able to do 40 heat per gun. If you can like dissipate 120 heat per time frame or whatever this thing puts out that heat, you would theoretically be able to fire indefinitely. So that's where the overheating comes from, because that would probably be really hard to achieve, I imagine. Again, this is all just speculation here. You can maximum carry 4 of them according to this thing, but I can throw on more than that. I don't know. So then we have shotguns. The shotguns do quite a lot of damage, but they're not very accurate, so you have to get really, really close, and they fire really slow as well. So they're definitely harder to use than the machine guns, but if you can get used to them, they can definitely be a very powerful tool at your disposal. Now we have beam weapons. These one are the blasters. I'm pretty sure those are the purple lasers, and these ones are the red lasers. These are okay as far as I noticed in terms of when I was playing with the drones, but I definitely wasn't too impressed. While on the other side, these beam lasers right here, they have instant travel speed. Uh, they do heat up very quickly. They, according to the text here, it actually heats up enemies that you hit with these, which is definitely something that is going to be very powerful. So I think actually currently the meta build would be a pair, 2 or 3 lasers and 2 or 3 machine guns so far. Thrower weapons don't have any stuff in their category, just like without a propulsion. There's no legs or tracks yet, so I can't show any of that off. Grenade launchers also don't have anything, but we do have some cannons. We got the really large gun. I think that if you actually that these are going to be like extremely hard to use, but hella Vista, baby. If you do manage to hit with these, they're going to do absolutely massive amounts of damage. But I don't think any flying build would be able to carry those. And this seems to be like a flak gun defensive turret. No idea how that would perform. And then of course we do have the targeting system. It says compatible weapons and the projectiles to lock onto targets. And I'm pretty sure that is for the rocket launchers. We have 2 variants. We have these with 3 and these with a singular tube. And as far as I understand, the amount of tubes that you have is the amount of rockets that you can carry at any given time. However, rockets have a couple of issues. Um, you either dump fire them or you lock them on. If you lock them on, the enemy is gonna get a warning that there's a missile coming at them. They have a rather slow flight speed, so they can be evaded even when locked on, even though it can be a little bit difficult. But the biggest detrimental factor about rockets is that they can be shot down by projectiles, including both the enemy's projectiles and your projectiles. So if you're shooting your machine gun while shooting off a rocket, you are gonna have the rocket explode in your face, dealing damage to you instead of the enemy. So that on top of the fact that these are just absolutely humongous, these are huge weapons for only just again the 3 rockets. Do you really need that? Like maybe you want to carry one of them underneath, like on a concealed position that the enemy wouldn't notice you have a rocket launcher, and you'll be able to dump fire one in someone's face when you absolutely need to. But other than that, I don't see too much of a need for them. Now we do have armor. Armor, I'm not sure how this will work, whether it actually just deflect projectiles or whatever, or whether they're just gonna have a good durability to weight ratio or something like that. I have no clue. There's many shapes though, so you definitely will be able to do all sorts of things with these and cover up your build and make them look nice. Then we have shields. So actually looking at the shields, what I think is gonna be the thing is that batteries are for the shields. Like they are gonna be able to tank some damage, but it will drain your batteries. When your batteries are empty, you will no longer have a shield, and you will need a generator to recharge your batteries. And the generator would either pull from your fuel reserves, so you would have slower boosts or whatever, something like that. That's what I kind of like assume here. I think that shields are going to be extremely important in any good build because if your build is shielded, it should not be able to take any independent damage on separate components. They do take a lot of points though, so if you want to put one in the build, you're going to have to squeeze it out there. I mean, the 54 ones probably fit, but you'll only be able to like take 1 or 2 on a single core build, it seems like, before you would run out. Then you have repair tools. They can slowly repair your drone when you're out of combat, I assume, so you're not as reliant on health pickups. They do take a 70 and 140 points respectively, so I don't think you'll be able to take these on anything but 2 or 3 core builds. And other than that, we have countermeasure, which is this is a radar killer, which conceals your drone from radars. It's massive, very low durability. I don't think that you would be able to put this on anything except for the largest of builds that you wanna, of course, conceal so people don't see you coming. But you're gonna be very slow because you're gonna be very heavy. Because of course weight is gonna affect you quite a bit. And it's sentry. I think this is gonna be projectile killer, based by the name. Of course, these are countermeasures. So that's the only thing that I can come up with that would make sense for a sentry. And lastly, we have the cloak device, which makes you masks you from both visual and radar alike, I assume. Because if it doesn't hide you from radar, that's actually would be really nice if it does not hide you from radar and only for visuals. So in that case, if you want to go full on stealth, you need both the cloak and the radar countermeasure. But in that case, I would hope that there's like a more expensive version of the cloak that would have the included radar countermeasures. That will be allowing you to, of course, do the stealth gameplay, etc., etc. So yeah, this is definitely an interesting way to put things. So again, we have 1,000 points just from this thing right here. So let's say we wanted to build a drone with this. So what would we exactly need to put onto the drone? And we cannot change those. Well, we of course we do want to have a bit of a corner on here, so we can put the hovers on a diagonal side. Because I assume you would want to start out with something like a hover. So I'm gonna just make a small example build of what I would think would be a basic drone, basically. You would want to hide the internals a little bit. So what I think you would do is I would have to turn off mirroring mode here for a second to allow me to build have these go inwards, because this way we can hide a 2x2 component and a 2x1 component without compromising the build integrity overall, because they will be kind of like hidden inside of the build like that. So I'm going to do the same for a third layer. Again, this will be just an example build for the most part. So there's that. And now we can go onto the camera. I think we don't even need these. Put the mirror mode back on. So camera would go in here. Then for weapons, you would be able to put on a pair of machine guns, hopefully. Not sure if they will fit here. I don't think they will. So in that case, I would have to move the entire build around until it fits. I kind of assume here. That's a little bit annoying. So what I think I'm going to do here is do it like that and see if I can put it diagonally. There we go. So now we have two diagonal machine guns right there. And we would want to have the beam weapons on here as well somewhere. So let's put them over here. See if we can put them diagonally as well. Or whether they will get into size issues too. Okay, they don't fit over here. Let's see if the machine gun would fit. Nope. So we know that that doesn't fit. The only other option would be lifting up to the side. Beam weapons. Well, there they go. Now they fit. And we still have a little bit on the side here to put on more stuff. So these are about 100. So 200, 400 with the camera on here. Then with the movement for the hovers, 640. We already expended quite a bit of stuff here. 640. We have about 400 more. So let's turn off this, and I'm gonna trigger you guys a little bit by grabbing a temperature thingy here. So again, we have about 400 left. I would imagine having to put a stabilizer somewhere on the build, so I'm just gonna put one of them on here. We're gonna put battery over here. We wouldn't be able to put in any large generator. Can we put on a fuel tank on the side here? We cannot. We can put a second battery. Or can we maybe put in a shield? We could put in a small shield here. But it's very hard to fit it in there by the looks of it. We can also put in a radar. Let's put in that radar. And then put the shield over there. The radar is, of course, very asymmetrical, and it's going to trigger a bunch of people. But oh well. So that's 15. Okay, 100. 25. It's kind of annoying to actually make this out on your own. So 35, 45, 50, 60, 160 used here. So we still have 240 left, but we do still need a fuel tank, which I am gonna put on the back here, in the middle, which is 55. So we have about 190 left. I do want to put on some boosters. I think I'm gonna put this smaller version of those underneath here. And these don't seem to actually use any component pieces, so that's nice. Now we do have some boosters. And that's actually, I think, already most of the build. What I think we can do, though, is move the systems one back. And maybe mount a pair of guns in the front, so we would be able to carry more weapons. Let's turn back on mirror mode. So this will be entirely it pretty much for the build. Unless I make it asymmetrical and put in one of the guns. Gonna be triggering more people, I guess. But yeah, this would already fill up all the slots for the build. Armor parts do not use up any slots though, according to this menu. So I would be putting on quite a bit of armor to cover up weak spots where I can. Let's see if I can put on any good pieces of armor. Yeah, we have these in the that we can put like that. Let's see, small components. I only think we already have these. And I think this would be like something you would end up building for a drone on this weight class, size, whatever. Because again, you can't really put on more than that. You could also try to put on armor parts in the front. See if we can take on these. Where did you go fit these? Nope. Can't really fit those anywhere like that. You do really want to have a shield generator somewhere. Or actually, no, we already have a small shield generator in the back there. So I guess we're fine with that in that case. Let's just stick with the machine guns. And that will be it for a build pretty much. And all that's left is changing the color palettes of the build in whatever color you want. So I kind of like this one. Let's see if I can find it real quick. So it's right after the blue. There we go. And I'll have to hand paint all of these, sadly. Like, there's no real way of painting things by hand. Like, you can paint your blocks, but, let's put this, for example, onto gray. You can paint your blocks, but that's about it, basically. The rest you have to do by hand, by going into component view and just using your scrolling mouse wheel to scroll through all the different colors. And I don't think I'm actually gonna bother with the rest of them. This would give you guys a little bit of an idea of what building a drone would look like, basically. How much work it would be to figure out what you can place within the single 1,000 points. I definitely think that you would need 1,500 points to make a real viable drone, because this thing does feel like it's missing a few things. Like, I would want to put a small radar antenna in the back to actually convey the data that I get from this big ass radar onto for my teammates. I don't think you want to have an inventory stuff. Um, Temperature, maybe we would need more cooling. I don't know if one of these would be enough. And of course repair stuff, etc. is kind of wanted as well. But you would have to make concessions to make a build like this. And that's something I do really like, that you actually have to make choices in what you want, what you need. And well, because those are two drastically different things, of course. Like, I would love to have the 4 machine guns, but I could also settle with 3, I guess. I probably want to have the lasers and machine guns all as close together clustered as possible. So that's definitely a challenge to build as well. And of course, you don't want to make your block, like your build too large in terms of block size, because make it larger is going to be making it easier to hit. That said, I am going to save this as example drone 1 real quick. And yeah, that's it. That's all I really have for today. So speculations, what would build look like, and that's pretty much it. So I very much hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and I will see you guys all in the next one. See ya.